Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. My name is Invin and today what I'm going to be bringing you guys a video on is this dev blog post right here on the forums, which was released, well, just a few minutes ago, just a short while before I'm recording this video right now, and it is on PvP, war and territories. Now, I've quickly skimmed over this to have a kind of a premise about what it's around, and it's basically surrounding how war is going to work going forward, the issues that they've had and the lag and what they've addressed that with. We're also going to be looking at territory influence and how they're planning to engage that with open world PvP going forward. And of course, as well as this, we've got some other kind of PvP balance type, war type things towards the end, which all seem quite interesting. And there's a few things that I want to point out along the way to bring to your guys' attention, and particularly for those of you that are interested in that territory war style stuff. So we're going to go through it. I'm going to read through the patch notes and just bring up some little comments along the way just to keep you guys in the loop with how it will affect the game as well. So, jumping straight into it then here, this is from Zin Ramu, who is a New World developer. You can see it's a dev blog and it's in Development Corner, which is a new part of the forums where they saw some other stuff addressed just recently, and obviously this is the second post here now. And it says, today I wanted to provide an update on health, status and vision of PvP, war and the territory control metagame. Before we dive in, I want to apologise for all of the issues we've seen in the wars so far, and thank you for your patience as we work to resolve them. I know there have been some serious lag issues in the war and a number of exploits, including the invulnerability exploits, that have made your experience. We've made an initial set of changes to address some of the issues and are working on some higher impact changes that need more testing. It is a top priority for the team to get war to a stable performance state where the skill and coordination of the best team determines the outcome. Let's start by reiterating our high level vision. We want to create a game where PvE and PvE not only coexist but support each other. We also want wars not ganks, meaning that we want to support meaningful PvP in war and open world conflict between the three factions. So what they're leaning towards here is not just a group of players going in and actually just battling out. It's actually leaning towards more strategy and kind of planning behind the wars, which will obviously reward those highly organised groups and groups that are putting in the effort behind the scenes to come up with a plan, come up with a strategy, a plan B, a plan C even, and kind of working on that as well, not just going in with good gear score and slamming people. So good stuff. So here's what they've said then. So in terms of open world PvP, we feel that open world PvP is in an okay position, but does have room to improve. The rewards for flagging while leveling up are good. The 10% XP bonus makes a difference, which it does, yeah. The rewards for PvP kills are meaningful. At endgame, however, the rewards for flagging are not good, which I would certainly agree with, and I'm glad they've brought this up. There are two changes coming in the short term that should help. The first is that we are going to increase the luck of players when flagged. Now, that is going to be huge for when we're doing things like gathering, so obviously with mining, if the luck obviously affects gathering as well. Orichalcum, getting the Voidor, getting the Cinnabar, getting the Tolvium, perfect. Obviously gathering skinning with the legendary hides, all throughout that stuff, that's going to be really good. So it'll be interesting to see whether it just affects rolls, so like loot rolls, or whether it's going to affect gathering and kind of mining luck, that sort of stuff as well. So we shall see. This should be an important and lasting benefit to flagging. Second, we are going to reduce the durability damage to gear when flagged. This will reduce the risk of flagging a little bit, especially in the end game gear repair costs. In the medium term, we will also adjust the rewards of PvP kills at 60 so that they can enhance players' watermarks or HWM more. Check out the post on high watermark system, which if you haven't seen, essentially explains how the post is there. So I'll leave this post that I'm talking about now linked in the description, and obviously as you can see that's hyperlinked there, so you guys can check that should you want to. Longer term, expect a new world activity that flagged players can participate in that we hope spurs and rewards some smaller scale engagements across Aeternum, which is very interesting. So again, hitting on a few things there. Secondly, obviously the durability decrease to flag players, really good. I think that's a great addition, and I think it will mean, again, when you are gathering, it's going to be more beneficial to do that. So it does also influence PvE players. That's kind of what's in the back of my mind, thinking this is for PvP, but how does it affect the PvE guys as well? But also, if you are going to be PvPing in open world, particularly for those faction missions when you're trying to get the influence up, that's going to be a really good change that's going to allow you to be able to do that more, and more players to be able to participate, even if they're not grinding a couple hours a day trying to get that gold out. So that's really cool. I also think that what they've said there about the high watermark system would be a really nice change. Not going to matter too much when you get to 600 gear score, but obviously right now that's the end game, so it's kind of up to you if you're there and you wanted to do the PvP to help your group. Perfect, but it is going to give a chance for those players that are kind of at the level 60 region, but haven't actually got full 600 gear score yet to actually still improve, and of course continue to get those drops even if you do have Void, so that you can get those 600 weapons and stuff drop in, even if you're already past that gear score with the crafted stuff. And the longer term, expect a new open world activity. So this right here is very interesting. Not too sure what that could be. There's several things that are going through my head right now, but until we see or hear a little bit more about that, I'm going to kind of keep those cap and maybe make a video on that later down the line, addressing what we'd like to see and what the community I think would like to see, and kind of gather people's opinions on that. But that is really, really cool and will certainly incentivize that open world activity, which is really, really good. They've also gone on to say that in addition to rewards, we understand that there are some gameplay issues at an open world PvP. Currently, it's hard to know whether players in your faction are flagged or not. This can make it difficult to know whether or not you have backup and assess whether you should engage or not. We are aware of this issue and are working on a fix. We also understand that combat tactics can be difficult since the visuals for all area of effect spells are the same, so it's difficult to know whether a spell is from an ally or an enemy. Unfortunately, this is not a trivial fix, and it will require a significant code update and numerous asset changes. While we agree that this is an issue, this will take substantial work and investigation and will not be resolved soon. So, nice to see some open communication that they know they need to work on that. I would like to see it possibly sooner than they're kind of speculating there. Obviously, it will take a lot of work, but I think this should be something which really is a priority, particularly for wars, even if it is literally as basic as having things like Sacred Ground being blue or red for the enemy or ally ones. I know it wouldn't look the best, but I think it would be very, very much beneficial. Same with Ice Shower, Meteor Shower. At least the outline of the AoEs should be that colour, and it should be a thicker outline so we can see a big blue or big red band around those, so we can kind of at least see a kind of indicator to that. Ideally, I would personally like to see the entire abilities overhauled in the colours, which I think could be something they could do. As I say, it would probably look trash, particularly Meteor Shower in blue, but at least we would know where we were with that. So that could be something they could do interim, but we shall see. At least they're working on that, and that is really, really good. Now, a big thing here, wars. Huge update to the wars here. So, as you guys will see, they've said, as stated above, the lag and exploits in wars have hurt the experience. With the patch coming out this week, most of the major issues should be resolved. There have been some complaints about the war happening too often. There is a 24-hour cooldown between wars, and with the war window, that means that wars are happening at most every 2 days per territory. Players can also delay that through the influence race, which is now much more viable since we fixed the escalating influence issues. Overall, we think that a war every 2 days is good cadence, but please continue to let us know what you think. We are seeing war fatigue from factions which funnel a group of players into every war, and while we love this cooperation, having one company or one company's worth of players own multiple territories should be very hard and is not what we are balancing war cooldowns towards. So, essentially, quite a few things to break down there, but they are looking to fix all of the major lag issues, so fingers crossed for the next war next week when we see this patch. Should be either today or tomorrow when we see a patch. That should be fixed, which will be absolutely amazing if they have done that. 24-hour cooldown between wars, there is... Obviously, you've got invasions in there as well, but every 2 days, particularly if you're the underdog faction, I think that's where the issue comes in more. If you're a big faction, you've got big support, and there's not that many players aiming to attack you, then it's not so bad, because you might be waiting even 2, 3, 4, maybe even days before you get a war. Some servers, I'm sure it's more. But for those more popular servers where you are the underdog faction, for example, my faction is Covenant, we've only got 3 territories on the map right now, whereas the Purples have 5 and the Marauders have the other 3, and that means that basically the Purples are kind of attacking everywhere. The Marauders have locked down their ones, Covenant have locked down their ones, and it's kind of like continuous skirmishing from Syndicate. Obviously, the other groups are doing their bit as well, but just generally I think the underdog is where they need to look at here, but there is points addressing that as we go further down as well. And what they are saying there is they don't want just one really, really good PvP war group from each faction taking over every war. Essentially, they're saying you need to mix it up, you need to get players trained up, you need to do all this, that and the other, which is cool. But yeah, that's what they're balancing it towards, so it's interesting. They also go on to say here, we're also continuing to review balance within war. Defenders are winning war more often than attackers, which is what we want. Currently, defenders win around 80% of the wars, which I do agree with. I think that should be how it is. Defending should be easier because that's kind of the point of owning a territory, but also you should have a little bit more success rate with good strategy when you're attacking, which I think will come with the lag exploits fixes that they said above. We want to reward defending companies that build up their ranks and upgrade their forts, but we will keep an eye on the balance as we resolve the major exploits and make sure that both sides have a fighting chance. Excellent response, I would agree with that 100%. We know that communication and coordination in war is not optimal at the moment. It's hard to know what roles participants in the war have chosen, so it makes coordination difficult. We will begin investigating ways of addressing these, but we don't have anything planned in the near term. Personally for this, and I think a lot of players will agree with me on this one, the basic fix we would like to see is just when people sign up for a war, what role they're doing, whether that's literally as simple as healer, tank, DPS, or whether they could add little ranks to that, so maybe paladin build, maybe you could type in, or there's say 5-6 set categories, so ranged DPS, melee DPS, tank, healer, paladin, whatever you want to do, musket, bow. If you can pick your weapons, or you could pick a general class, general kind of melee DPS, range DPS, whatever, that would be really, really cool, and that would be something I personally would love to see. So let me know in the comments what you guys would like to see in terms of war coordination strategies. Now finally here, they have addressed territory control as well, and they've said that overall we are seeing territories change hands with decent regularity. As stated above, we want to favour the defender, and seeing a good spread between factions on most servers. Yeah, I would agree, even though that purple are most dominant, that's because they've got more players, but we still do have territories in each faction, so I think that does make sense. We do have two systems in place that help with faction balance. We allow players to switch factions, but do not allow them to switch into the dominant faction. True. We also increase the influence underdog factions earn for the PvP faction missions to give them a better chance at earning the right to declare a war. But we may need to do more. Okay. We are watching faction balance on all servers, and if it becomes a general problem, we have a few ideas to help resolve it in interesting ways. Now that's promising. That means they're already working towards that before it becomes a massive issue. On some servers, I'm aware, a lot of you guys tell me in the comments, it is already a massive issue. There's some groups that are dominating, all Marauders, all Covenant, all Syndicate, whatever the case may be. So hopefully those servers, or in general, we'll start to see more stuff for people who don't have a territory or people who only have a couple. But obviously, like they've said there, we do get more influence if we're the underdogs, which I think is a really, really nice thing. But the point that they made there about allowing players to switch factions, they do get one free one, but then we have to wait 120 days, so it's not as fluid as maybe it could be. So maybe going forward, we could see a reduction in the time to change, although that could really throw around the servers a bit more. Who knows? But I guess what we'll have to wait and see is when 120 days is up, what the servers start to look like then, because then we'll have a better chance at seeing that, and I would assume that's probably what AGS are waiting for here. Now, they've also gone on to say, we are also aware that some territories, I'm looking at you, Everfall, produce a ton of tax income, while other towns can be much harder to support and upgrade. Yes, absolutely. There is a change coming soon, which will help distribute a main tax income stream into every territory. We want to review the impact of the changes before we make further changes, but there are some other changes we could make in the medium term if this is insufficient. So this is really interesting. For me, a couple of things scream out. Either they're going to have exclusive places where it would be tier 6 upgrades. So, for example, maybe Morningdale would be the only place on the map you would be able to get a tier 6 forge. And a tier 6 forge would give you a plus 5% chance when you're at max level smelting, or whatever smelting level you're at. It gives you a plus 5% chance to craft double ingots when you are smelting there. Something along those lines with tier 6s where you've got exclusive ones. Now, obviously, there's 10 crafting stations and, well, 5 crafting, 5 refining stations on the map. And there is 11 territories. But they could balance it out by maybe making, say, for example, First Light or Cutlass Keys, and then Morningdale have the same one, so it's complete opposite ends of the map. Also, with that, I think that could also lead people around a lot more to different places, but it would also make there be something else for the territories that are earning a lot of money to put their money into, but also to incentivize those bigger groups to take over the further away territories that are maybe less popular right now for tax income, to be able to get those bonuses for themselves, which could be really, really cool. So a lot of things to unpack there. We'll have to wait and see what they actually do implement, but it's good news that they are looking at it. This is something that I've wondered for a while now, probably the last week or two, whilst we've been doing these territory wars. A lot of the times we've been deciding it based off, well, will we actually get any income? Is it going to cost us more to upkeep the territory than people actually trading and crafting there to get the taxes? So a lot of places right now that is the case, so it's not even worth trying to war for. So that'll be a really, really positive change. Hopefully it's something good. We'll have to wait and see. So they've gone on to finally conclude here with then a last bit of good news for all the territory flippers out there. There are some new PvP missions coming to the game soon. Thank goodness for that. These changes serve two purposes: adding some much needed variety to the PvP missions and helping to distribute the PvP action to multiple locations to spread out some of the large PvP zergs we are seeing. Please let us know what you think about these changes when they go live soon. Personally, off the provision, really just explaining it in this text, I think that's an excellent idea. As the post itself says, it's much needed variety, and I think splitting up the PvP zergs will not only, reduce the mass clumping where people literally are going around with 60, 70 plus players in one big group doing the same quests, which makes it harder for smaller companies to try and get involved, but it means that you're going to have a little bit more coordination and organisation for those big groups, particularly if you're going to be contesting a conflict like you're going to be defending it. You're going to need to split your groups up actively with good players and good 5-man compositions, not just, okay, everybody run together, and I think that will be a really, really good thing, as it does add a level of strategy and importance to defending and attacking in terms of strategy and command, rather than just let's all run it together and hope for the best. So I think that should be cool. We'll have to wait and see what they actually do implement, but generally that seems like a great idea. But again, let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Do you like these changes? Do you not? They've also concluded here by just saying thanks for reading. Feel free to post any follow-up questions / concerns that you might have, and I'll try to address the top issues in a follow-up in a few days or weeks time. So that's really cool. I really appreciate that from Zin and AGS for kind of keeping us in the loop. This is really, really transparent in terms of what they're planning to do, and I really like that direction from Amazon Games as a whole. Hopefully going forward we see more like this is what we're planning to do. Rough time frames, short term, medium term, long term, is great as well, because we know what we can expect to see soon. We know what's on their radar, even if it's not going to be soon, which is fantastic. And personally, I'm really, really happy with this post. I think it addresses a lot of the things the player base, the community, Reddit, Twitter, forums, everything has been saying about. They've been listening and they're acting on it, which is fantastic. But I do think there's some things where we might run into a brick wall with some of these points. So I'll be really, really interested to see what you guys think in the comments down below. Let me know what you think about these. Do you think these are good changes? Do you think there's still things that need to be worked on that aren't included? Do you think there's things included here which are less important than some stuff they've missed out? Who knows? Let me know what you guys think down below, because I'd be interested to see that, and we'll have a little discussion in the comments section about this update and wars and territories and stuff in general. Other than that, if you've got any comments, questions, concerns, drop them in the comments below. I'll try my best to answer those for you guys. Other than that, if you're new to the channel, make sure you drop a subscribe with the notification bell on. I'll bring you guys all the news, all the updates, every single bit of information that I can possibly to you as soon as I get my hands on it. Obviously, even right now, it's late doors for me in the UK with these updates coming from America, but still keeping on top of it the best that I can. And also, bring you guys guides, builds, that kind of thing. So if you're interested in that, make sure you subscribe. If you have enjoyed the video, please do drop me a like, because it really, really does help me out. And other than that, guys, as always, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for your time. Take care and peace.